Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, wherever you are, and welcome to my YouTube channel. This video was sparked by a conversation that I was having with a couple of friends of mine over dinner. And somehow we ended up discussing or talking about ISAs. And to my surprise, some of them did not know how ISAs operate. They had a basic understanding, but what benefit it could provide to them, why should they have one? It seemed to me as if the understanding wasn't very clear. So I thought I'll make a short video covering what ISAs are, how do they operate, and what benefits they can provide to you. So first of all, ISA stand for Individual Savings Account, and I think the word of importance here is individual, which means each individual in the family can actually have an ISA, which does include children. You can have a separate ISA, but they can have ISAs. ISAs allow you to shelter your interest that you make on your capital or capital gains, and we'll come to what's the difference between interest and capital gains later on. They allow you to shelter those gains tax-free, completely legal, completely transparent. You do not have to pay any tax on those capital gains, and you can accumulate them over years and years and years and still won't have to pay any tax. And I have come across people who have invested a very, very substantial sum of money in ISAs over the years, and effectively all they gain now is tax, which means you can save up to 45% if you're paying 45% tax in terms of your income, or 40% or 20% depending on which tax bracket you're in, or 18% on your capital gains. Now, there are four basic kinds of ISAs. Number one is called the cash ISA. Number two is called the stocks and shares ISA. Number three is called lifetime ISA. And number four is called the innovative finance ISA. Now, before understanding how do they operate, a little bit about how you invest in them or what you invest in them. You have a limit as an adult. We'll come to junior ISAs a little bit later. You have a limit of up to £20,000 a year to invest across these four different kinds of ISAs, i.e. the cash ISA, the stocks and shares ISA, the lifetime ISA, and the innovative finance ISA. You can spread that £20,000 across four different kinds of ISAs. The maximum that you can invest in lifetime ISA in any given tax year is £4,000. But other than that, you have a £20,000 limit. Now, the limit resets every year, which means in UK, the tax year runs from 6th of April to 5th of April every year. On the 5th of April, your limit resets every year, which means you can put £20,000 more in the next tax year. Now, you do not have to use the entire £20,000 available to you, but it is available. You can invest less, but you can't invest more. So that's the basics of it, and you have to comply with the age restriction, as you can see. That for cash ISA, it's 16 plus. For stocks and shares ISA, it's 18 plus. For lifetime ISA, it's between the ages of 18 and 39. And once you've opened it, you can keep on putting more money, but it is between the ages of 18 and 39 that you can open one. And the innovative finance ISA is also 18 years of age. Now, how do these different ISAs operate? Cash ISA, as the name suggests, it is a cash ISA, which means your capital is always safe. The capital is guaranteed. You cannot lose your money. Well, if the bank goes bankrupt, I think even then you can't lose your money because it's protected by the UK government. So your cash is always 100% guaranteed. You do make a fixed return on top, could be up to 5% these days. Actually, I've seen most banks offering 4.5% to 5%. There are two different kinds of cash ISAs, a fixed and a flexible one. With the fixed one, you cannot withdraw your money for a certain amount of time and you have to give notice or whatever. With the flexible one, you can pretty much, you're open to withdrawing your money at any time you want, or you can withdraw little chunks, etc. Your banks can advise you more around that. Now, the stocks and shares ISA, your capital is at risk. You can invest in single stocks, ETFs, treasuries, bonds, and different kind of financial instruments under stocks and shares ISA. You do stand to make a good gain if the stock market or instruments keep on performing well. So, for example, the S&P 500 has been averaging anywhere between 8 to 10% over the last 10 years, and therefore you can carry on making that. And the entire gain is tax-free. So that's the advantage. However, your capital is at risk under stocks and shares ISA. Now, under lifetime ISA, you can invest up to a maximum of £4,000, and the government gives you a bonus of £1,000 a year. So if you invest 4, the government invests 1. 25% of whatever you've invested is given to you as a bonus, and then you stand to make the 5% return on top of that, or whatever return, because if you invested in the cash ISA, you'll make the same return as a cash ISA. If you invested your lifetime ISA in stocks and shares, then you will make that gain accordingly. And the last kind of ISA is the innovative finance ISA, which I believe, in my view, is the riskiest form of ISA. That's where you're cutting out the bank and you're lending money directly to people through different platforms. And you can see these platforms on the internet. There are quite a few of them. If you just type peer-to-peer lending on Google, you will see quite a few of these platforms coming in my view, because there are, in either case, not regulated entities or less regulated entities, they do not carry the same level of protection that the banks do, and therefore you do have a risk that you can lose your capital if these companies go bankrupt. Does not mean you will necessarily lose your capital, but there is a risk. And I have seen very few people investing in actually the innovative finance ISA side of things. So here you are, and this is how you can use your 20,000 to invest across these four. Now, junior ISAs for children have a limit of up to £9,000 a year. Again, you can only invest in two, cash ISAs and stocks and shares ISA, where you can take £9,000 and invest it on behalf of your children in these two. And again, that means you can shelter the gain. So overall, as a family, if you're a husband and a wife with two children or one child, you can pretty much invest up to £58,000 a year, and all the gains that you're going to make from it technically are tax-free, which is a real advantage. Now, some of the facts around, actually, let's give you an example around how this operates, right? So let's say Anita's got £20,000 cash to invest. She decides to invest £10,000 of that in a cash ISA, £6,000 of that in a stocks and shares ISA, and £4,000 in the lifetime ISA, and gets a £1,000 bonus. On the cash ISA, she makes a 5% return. On a stocks and shares ISA, she makes a 7% return. And on a lifetime ISA, she again makes a 5% return. Overall, Anita stands to make £2,000 out of a £20,000 investment, which equates to about 10%. Now, if you wanted to make 10% on a normal saving account on a £20,000, you'll actually need to make about £15,000 or at least £12,000 a return, because you'll have to pay tax on it first, and then you'll keep the remaining gain. So a real advantage of actually sheltering your gains under ISA. Now, you can withdraw your money at any time other than lifetime ISA, which you can only withdraw when you're either purchasing your first property up to £250,000 in anywhere else other than London, or £450,000 in London, or when you're 60 years old. So here we are. These are some of the basics about ISA and what to do next. I think the best thing is to contact your bank. All the high street banks, including Santander, Lloyds, Barclays, NatWest, HSBC, can open up an ISA, or even the smaller building societies like Nationwide. There are online platforms like Hargreaves Lansdowne, Fidelity, Vanguard. Particularly if you wanted to invest in stocks and shares ISA, they're very good. I will attach a link to attach some links in the description below, which can provide you with some further information about it. In case you have any questions, please feel free to comment, and I will see you next time. Thank you very much.